Good evening. I want to thank President Macron for convening us this evening. At stake is not just the future of Ukraine, it is an existential question for Europe as a whole, and therefore vital for Britain's national interest. This is a once-in-a-generation moment for the collective security of our continent. Only a lasting peace in Ukraine that safeguards its sovereignty will deter Putin from further aggression in the future. Now, recent statements by the US administration should not come as a surprise. President Trump has long expressed the wish for Europe to step up and meet the demands of its own security, that he wants to get a lasting peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine. So today's informal meeting of European leaders was a vital first step in responding to that challenge. On defence, it's clear the US is not going to leave NATO. But we Europeans will have to do more. The issue of burden sharing is not new, but it is now pressing. And Europeans will have to step up, both in terms of spending and the capabilities that we provide. On Ukraine, we're at the very early stage of the process. Europe must play its role, and I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground alongside others if there is a lasting peace agreement. But there must be a US backstop, because a US security guarantee is the only way to effectively deter Russia from attacking Ukraine again. So I will go to Washington next week to meet President Trump and to discuss what we see as the key elements of a lasting peace. I spoke to President Zelensky on Friday and will do so again in coming days. And we envisage a further meeting with European colleagues when I return from the US. In this moment, we have to recognise the new era that we are in, not cling hopelessly to the comforts of the past. It's time for us to take responsibility for our security, for our continent. And I've been clear today, Britain will take a leading responsibility, as we always have, because Ukraine must have a secure future, Europe must have a secure future, Britain must have a secure future, and democratic values must prevail. Thank you.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called on the United States to provide a security backstop for any European peacekeeping force deployed to Ukraine, as divisions emerge among European leaders over the feasibility of sending troops. The Labour leader made the plea following high-level talks in Paris, convened by French President Emmanuel Macron, where European heads of state and NATO officials discussed potential strategies for stabilizing Ukraine. Starmer's proposal, which includes the possibility of British troops on the ground, hinges on an American security guarantee to deter future Russian aggression. Europe must play its role, and I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground alongside others if there is a lasting peace agreement, Starmer said. But there must be a U.S. backstop because a U.S. security guarantee is the only way to effectively deter Russia from attacking Ukraine again. However, Starmer's initiative is facing headwinds. While France appears supportive, Germany and Poland, the two most strategically significant European military powers in this context, are showing reluctance. Poland, a frontline NATO state, has ruled out participation, citing commitments to defending the alliance's eastern flank. Germany, meanwhile, remains hesitant, reflecting broader European uncertainty over a military presence in Ukraine. The urgency of Starmer's diplomatic push comes in response to a perceived sidelining of Europe in US-Russia negotiations. Over the weekend, Washington stunned European allies by announcing bilateral talks with Moscow in Saudi Arabia, aimed at ending the war. without involving Kyiv or European capitals. The move has rattled UN-UK officials, raising concerns that the US could pursue a settlement on terms unfavorable to European security. Starmer, who is set to visit Washington next week to meet Donald Trump, hopes to position the UK as a bridge between the US and Europe. However, his government is also grappling with economic constraints. The UK currently spends around 2.3% of its GDP on defence, with Starmer committed to increasing this to 2.5%, far short of Trump's demand for NATO members to hit 5%, far short of Trump's demand for NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte's call for exceeding 3%. With parliamentary scrutiny mounting, Starmer has yet to rule out a Commons vote on troop deployments. Both Labour and opposition MPs have urged the government to seek parliamentary approval before committing forces. Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey emphasised the need for democratic oversight, while Reform UK chairman Zia Yusuf accused political leaders of opportunism, saying, "Has anyone else noticed that political leaders start to get really keen to send other people's children to war zones after their domestic poll ratings collapse?" As Starmer prepares to take his case to Washington, the fate of his proposed European peacekeeping force remains uncertain, with the US appearing to set its own course in negotiations and key European players expressing skepticism. The Prime Minister faces a formidable challenge in rallying support for a more assertive European security stance.
Where Streeting claims he's not walking around doing a victory. That's exactly what he's doing, and it's totally unjustified. The whole thing is completely disingenuous. So if you look at the progress that is being made, progress being in inverted commas, under Labour, do you know how long it would take to clear the backlog of 7.5 million elective procedures? 26 years. 26 years. If you're watching that at home, that's the number that we're talking about. And many of the most important metrics in the NHS, and granted the Tories did a disastrous job over 14 years, no one knows that better than I, but it is getting worse in many aspects under Labour. 60,000 people in January had to wait more than 12 hours in accident and emergency. Just, God forbid, you're in accident and emergency and 60,000 people had to wait. That has never been higher. That is an all-time high under this Labour government. The reality is the NHS is suffering from a population explosion. By the government's own numbers, that net migration figure is going to stay at 500,000 per year. The number of hospital beds continues to have no growth whatsoever. We still have this insane cap of 9,500, no more than 9,500 homegrown doctors, and then we're told we need open borders in order to have enough people to staff our NHS. The whole NHS is broken, and Labour are making it worse.
Zia Yusuf's sobering warning on national television has reignited concerns over the state of the EHEs, as he claims the backlog of 7.5 million procedures is being woefully misrepresented. Far from being a problem that can be tackled within a few years, Yusuf suggests it may take a staggering 26 years to clear, given record-breaking wait times and a system buckling under the weight of insufficient resources. The NH has long been the political battleground upon which successive governments have staked their reputations, yet the crisis has only deepened. Staff shortages, funding constraints, and rising patient numbers have all contributed to a situation that now appears to be spiraling out of control. While ministers attempt to reassure the public with promises of investment and efficiency measures, frontline workers and patients continue to face the grim reality of an overstretched system. Yusuf's remarks highlight a growing frustration with government policies that, critics argue, have failed to address the root causes of the crisis. While the population continues to grow and age, investment has struggled to keep pace with demand. The question now is not just how to clear the backlog, but whether the NHS in its current form can withstand the mounting pressures without radical reform. For millions of patients languishing on waiting lists, the statistics are more than just numbers. They represent years of pain, uncertainty, and in some cases, life-threatening delays. If Yusuf's prediction proves accurate, the political consequences could be seismic. Public trust in the government's ability to manage the NHS is already fragile, and with an election on the horizon, no party can afford to ignore the elephant in the room. Thanks for watching. If you found this insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates. Join the discussion below and stay connected. Hit the link to join our Telegram community.